My thighs ached, the sheets carried his scent, and I struggled to walk properly. Yet it was the first occasion in 2 decades that I truly felt vibrant. It was the morning that followed. Hi everyone, I'm Jessica, the storyteller on the Adult Women's Tales channel. Here I'll share stories about love, conflicts, betrayal, and infidelity within American families. These stories offer a deep look into relationships and the challenges families face. Stay tuned and explore with me. If you love emotional stories and want to uncover the hidden secrets in families, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you won't miss any of our videos. The dawn spilling through my curtains brought to mind all the ways I had faltered. I had stepped over a boundary that was impossible to return from, exposed under the gaze of a man 35 years my junior, not merely a man, my son's closest companion. Hector is his name. And last night, with gentle movements and a calm assurance, he addressed a longing that had been echoing within me for over 10 years. My body quivered at his caress. My heart, it raced and tumbled down. Here I stood, bare in both body and spirit, his fragrance lingering on my skin, my heart racing as if I had just crossed a forbidden line. Perhaps I did. What kind of mother would open herself up to the boy who once sat on her couch eating pizza after football practice? I did, and that's just the start. Before I share what unfolded next, I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to all of you who are subscribed to this channel. You are the spark that ignites this environment. Hey there, new and returning viewers. If you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Your encouragement fuels my passion to share these authentic and unfiltered stories. Make sure to subscribe, give a thumbs up, and share your opinions in the comments below. Your messages bring me joy. Okay, let's revisit that moment. The journey to this point is even more chaotic than the events of that night, the start of the conclusion. I'm Pauline, and I'm 60 years young. I reside in a serene area of Cheyenne, Wyoming, where the wind is a constant presence and the nights are excessively tranquil. I have been navigating life as a widow for 12 years. My husband, Richard, passed away peacefully in his sleep at the age of 52. Since that time, my body has felt more like a recollection than a container. I occupied my time with baking, volunteering at church, and tending to my garden. All that solitary woman behavior that nobody ever acknowledges as a way to divert from the longing they feel. I have a son named Mason, who is 28 years old and works in the construction industry. He may not show his feelings openly, but he's a solid guy. He comes by 2 times a week and frequently brings along his close friend, Hector. Oh, Hector, 25, with his tall frame and cinnamon brown skin, long lashes reminiscent of a storybook villain, shoulders sculpted from the gym, yet a gentle voice that always addressed me as Miss Pauline. He consistently displayed good manners, considerate, assisted me in bringing the groceries inside when Mason overlooked it, worked late to repair the porch light one winter. I never saw him in that light. Initially, no. However, I eventually did. Perhaps it was the sound of his laughter, or the way he would occasionally look my way, not in the role of Mason's mother, but as an individual woman. That was something different. That was risky. I repeatedly urged myself, Pauline, enough already. That young man might as well be your child. Yet solitude can lead us to foolishness, particularly the type of solitude that spans 10 years, the type that transforms your own body into something unfamiliar. As the rain began to fall, on Thursday, a storm swept in from the west. Thunder boomed with such intensity that it rattled the picture frames hanging on my wall. Mason took a weekend trip out of town for some fishing. However, Hector arrived, not welcome. His presence wasn't solely due to the rain. He arrived for my benefit, A moment arrives when the mind cries out for a pause, yet the body conveys a different message altogether. That was I. In my kitchen I stand, observing a towel fall from Hector's grasp while he rested against the counter. Water droplets falling from above, emitting warmth, and gazing at me as if I were more than just a woman. However, his. I had always thought that desire was something that diminished over time, that a woman such as myself, 60, isolated and fading into obscurity. She must come to terms with the fact that intimacy was no longer intended for her. However, that evening, wearing my robe, a sensation stirred within me. He stated, "Are you asking if I should go?" I ought to have agreed. I simply shook my head. Dinner was enjoyed at the cozy table by the window. I warmed up some leftover chicken pot pie. He consumed it as if it were the most exquisite delight he had experienced in ages. "I've really missed your cooking," he remarked as he took another bite. "It brings a sense of warmth and familiarity. No one had mentioned that to me in ages, not since Richard, not even Mason. Afterward, I served us some wine. He discussed his job, his aspirations. He had always held a deep admiration for my strength, transforming a space into a true sanctuary. How occasionally he lingered long into the evening just to be near me, not Mason. I gazed at the glass I held. The room was whirling around. Perhaps it was my feelings. I chuckled uncomfortably. "You're simply being kind." He moved in closer, gaze fixed on me. "Absolutely not, Pauline. I am being truthful." It unfolded quicker than I could comprehend. In one moment, I was filled with laughter. In the following moment, his lips met mine, gentle, unhurried, considerate. Yet it was accompanied by a familiar pain that I knew all too well, the craving, the understanding. He kissed me as if it were a moment he had envisioned countless times before. I inhaled sharply. The sound of my wine glass tapping against the counter echoed in the room. His hand gently held my jaw. Soft, absolutely. His mouth articulated gently, with precision rather than pressure. Not a young man stumbling in desire, yet a man who respects his longing. I withdrew, out of breath, shaking. "No," I murmured. "This is incorrect. I am the mother of Mason." Hector acknowledged with a nod, stepping back. "Got it. I apologize." Yet he felt no remorse. I wasn't either, because beneath the surface, a spark had already been kindled between us. He spent the night on the couch. He acted as if he did. I lay restless in my bed, troubled by the near miss that lingered in my mind. My body throbbed in areas I had long since overlooked. I gripped the fabric tightly, as if it could contain the overwhelming tide swelling within me. At the stroke of midnight, I caught the sound of gentle footsteps. I straightened myself. The door let out a soft creak. There he stood, Hector. In the hallway, he stood shirtless once more, sweat shimmering on his chest under the moonlight streaming through my window. "Pauline," he murmured, his voice barely above a whisper. "I'm unable to get any rest. You're always on my mind, concerning your lips, the gaze of your eyes." I began to say something. However, nothing emerged. Because the reality was, I was too. It consumed my every thought. He moved in closer. I perched on the edge of my bed, my heartbeat pounding like a storm in my ears. "Are you asking me to go?" he inquired once more, his tone gentler this time. My robe hung loosely. The breeze brushed against my thighs. I noticed his gaze shift downward. Not as a boy yearning for the unattainable, but as a man observing something divine. I slowly shook my head. "No, Hector, please stay with me." I stood there, allowing the robe to slip off my shoulders, gently tugging at my feet. My body, marked by the journey of motherhood, bears the gentle touch of time. Yet in his gaze, I perceived wonder. He moved closer, encircled my waist with his arms, and murmured, "Then allow me to reveal what you've been longing for." He kissed me once more, this time more passionately, without any doubt. And when he laid me down, it was gentle, it was unhurried, it was a profound act of reverence. Every part of me recalled the feeling of being desired, unused, unblemished, seeking. His hands glided with a sense of deep respect. His lips explored the hidden corners of my being. I gasped quietly, astonished by the sensations coursing through me at their touch. I softly uttered his name in hushed tones. Yet, amidst the fervor, a tempest stirred inside me. What we were doing would transform everything. As his head settled against my chest, we found ourselves entwined in a quiet, warm embrace. Suddenly, my phone vibrated on the nightstand. A note from Mason. "Hello, Mom. The fishing trip was unexpectedly shortened. I'll be back home by tomorrow morning." I inhaled sharply. Is it happening tomorrow? Tomorrow. My son would enter through the front door, and Hector would remain present, next to me, exposed, and definitely more than just his best friend now. The morning light filtered through the blinds, casting a warm glow over Hector's exposed back. His breathing was calm and measured, as if everything was perfectly fine. However, nothing was right. Being there with him holding me close was more than just a transgression. It was a hidden truth that had the power to break it all apart. Mason, my son, will be back home in 3 hours. I rose slowly, my body protesting in areas that hadn't experienced pain in ages. Hector shifted next to me, stretching out with a drowsy grin that sent butterflies fluttering in my stomach. "Good morning, gorgeous," he murmured. I ought to have been contemplating feelings of guilt, shame, and regret. However, I experienced a sense of empowerment. I felt acknowledged. We shared an intimate moment once more. Take it easy this time. Take your time. Simply a journey of discovery. Commitment. Hector was tender and focused, his lips journeying from my collarbone to my thighs, as if on a sacred quest. I murmured his name softly, as if it were a sacred invocation. I had lost touch with the sensation of being consumed without remorse. Being perceived in a way that disregards my age felt liberating, and my curves were a gift, not a burden. It was more than just physical intimacy. It was renewal. And when it was done, he embraced me, his fingers gliding over the stretch marks on my stomach. He pressed his lips to each one. He remarked, "You are the most beautiful woman I have ever touched." I felt the urge to cry, yet I chose to smile instead. For the first time in more than 10 years, I felt seen. As Hector enjoyed his shower, I took the opportunity to head downstairs and brew some coffee. I was dressed only in a robe and a smile when I spotted something on the living room table that made my heart freeze. The timepiece he owns. This is more than just a watch. The one I had noticed him wearing daily was left out in the open next to the TV remote. At that moment, the sound of keys jingling echoed from the front door. Negative, negative, negative. The timing was off. I hurried to the window and spotted Mason's truck driving into the driveway. My fingers hurriedly reached for the watch, shoved items into the kitchen drawer, and wiped down the counters. I shouted up the stairs, "Hector, it's time to put your clothes on." Negative. A wave of panic coursed through me like a jolt of electricity. He arrived 2 minutes later, wet hair pushed back, shirt partially fastened, expression serene. "Take it easy," he murmured, pressing his lips to my cheek. "I'll take care of this." Mason strolled in, his duffel bag casually draped over his shoulder. "Hello, Mom." The storm was severe, prompting us to return ahead of schedule. "Are you all right?" I managed to put on a smile. "Indeed, I have just risen." His gaze flicked to Hector, who was positioned in the kitchen. "Did you spend time here?" Hector gave a slight nod. "Unfortunately, my car broke down during the storm. Your mom generously offered me a place to stay." I struggled to catch my breath. Mason scowled. "Are you both doing well?" I felt an overwhelming urge to scream, "Weep, come clean." Hector moved ahead, giving Mason a friendly pat on the back. "Everything's great, dude." There was no occurrence, just working on getting dry and making it through the storm. Mason purchased it, or feigned to. However, I witnessed it, the glimmer of uncertainty in his gaze. His gaze lingered on the coffee cups, the drawer I neglected to shut. A change had occurred. Mason departed that afternoon, mentioning he had tasks to attend to. Hardly glanced my way. Hector lingered until dusk, then rested against the doorframe, his expression grave. "I truly meant every word I spoke last night, Pauline. This meant more to me than just a single occurrence. I completely get it if you require some distance. If this was overwhelming, I felt inclined to decline, to plead for his presence to remain. However, I ended up kissing him, gentle and gradual. I'm not sure what this is at the moment. However, I understand its significance to me." He grinned, then strolled over to his vehicle, and just like that, silence enveloped the house once more. However, it's different. That evening, I found myself in my kitchen, sipping a cup of tea all by myself. My body still vibrated from his touch. Every moment played back in my mind. I had shattered every principle I believed I adhered to. For the first time ever, I prioritized myself. I had quieted the world's assumptions about what a 60-year-old widow ought to desire or experience. In the embrace of a man who recognized my essence, not as a mere remnant, I felt reborn. Infidelity often exists in shades of gray. At times, it emerges after enduring years of quietude, of void, the urgent desire to regain a sense of significance in your life. My actions might not have been the best choice. However, it was genuine. It belonged to me. It brought back to me the realization that I still had the capacity for longing, still deserving of desire. Yet, living. What would you have done if you were in my position? Would you gamble everything for a single night of honesty? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Remember to hit that like button, share with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more amazing stories like this one. Authentic, passionate, and genuine. I appreciate your attention. And keep in mind, even the most silent souls still ignite. That's it for today's story. If you found it moving, don't forget to share the video with your friends and family. I'd love to hear your thoughts, so leave a comment below. Be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another story. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a great day.